Marcus, a gentleman in a perfect suit and polished shoes, walked into the luxurious hotel lobby. His tall, confident figure exuded success and class. But that did not go unnoticed by the staff working at the reception desk. As soon as Marcus stepped through the door, he felt the staff's eyes start to examine and evaluate every detail of him, but not out of admiration or sympathy. Instead, they looked at him with suspicion and cold arrogance. To them, Marcus was just an inappropriate guest entering this place, someone who did not belong in the luxurious and haughty space of the hotel. Marcus walked to the front desk, his eyes shining with determination, but still maintaining his composure. The manager, a blond man with a cold smile and an arrogant demeanor, stood opposite him. It didn't take him long to decide what to say to Marcus. It seemed like the answer had already been pre-programmed in his mind. After glancing at Marcus from head to toe, with eyes that couldn't hide their disdain, the manager spoke arrogantly, his voice cold but somewhat diplomatic. "Unfortunately, we don't have any rooms available for you." Marcus looked the manager straight in the eye, trying to keep his cool in the face of such a blatant insult. He knew that the rejection was not because the hotel was actually full, but for another reason: the color of his skin. He had no desire to explain his true identity or confront them, because to him, their prejudices had already spoken for themselves. What Marcus wanted at that moment was not to argue or try to prove anything. Instead, he silently accepted the rejection, keeping a secretive smile on his face and stepping back. He knew that he had another plan in mind, a plan that would make the people here rethink how they viewed each other. As Marcus walked out of the lobby, each step he took echoed on the cold marble floor, a reminder that the next time he returned here would not be the same. The last look he gave the manager was a deep, meaningful one, as if foretelling something big was about to happen. Little did the manager know that Marcus was not just a potential client he had just turned down, but an investor, a successful businessman who could change the fate of the hotel in an instant. The truth was, Marcus had been considering buying the hotel for a long time, and this disrespectful treatment only strengthened his resolve. Standing in the doorway, Marcus took a moment to take in the grand hotel lobby. It was all about opulence and luxury, from the glowing gold chandeliers to the walls covered in precious paintings. This was once what Marcus had thought would be a good place to expand his portfolio, but now it had a different meaning. It would be a symbol of his triumph over social prejudice, a place where he would change the minds of the complacent people behind the front desk. Marcus returned to his office and immediately contacted his team of lawyers and financial advisors to move forward with the purchase of the hotel. Over the next few weeks, he proceeded quietly, not revealing his intentions to anyone in the hotel. He wanted it all to happen quietly, so that when the truth was revealed, it would be a huge shock to all the staff there, especially the arrogant manager. Marcus did not feel angry or vengeful. For him, this was an opportunity to teach them a lesson in respect and dignity. That day was a big day, the day Marcus officially took possession of the hotel. He took a few minutes to admire the transfer documents, feeling the joy of completing an important step in his plan. From this moment on, all those who had looked down on him would have to reconsider. Marcus did not buy this hotel just to satisfy his ego, but to make it a truly professional, fair, and impartial environment. After the formalities were completed, Marcus went to the hotel again, still in a formal suit, but this time with a completely different attitude. He walked into the grand lobby. None of the staff knew that the man in front of them was now their boss. Marcus's steps became lighter. He observed everyone around him, from the housekeeping staff to the receptionists, and felt the luxurious but discriminatory atmosphere in every glance, every bland smile. When Marcus approached the reception desk, he deliberately chose to stand close to the manager who had rejected him last time. The manager still maintained his confident demeanor and haughty expression, not even glancing at Marcus as he approached. But Marcus said nothing. He just smiled and silently watched the manager do his job, continuing to act coldly towards the other customers. Marcus's calmness allowed him to clearly see every little gesture of the manager, from the way he glanced at the customers to the way he expressed his attitude, all of which showed a narrow-minded, disrespectful mindset. Marcus knew that this was a moment of preparation for great changes to come. His patience was like a gentle soundtrack, gradually building to a climax. He did not rush to reveal who he was, nor did he seek to criticize or express disappointment. Marcus wanted to see how they would destroy their own illusions. For him, the greatest lesson these people could learn was to recognize the absurdity of their behavior. As he left the hotel that time, Marcus knew that his next move would be more than just personal revenge. He wanted to change the structure and culture of the place. Every brick in the hotel would be redesigned, not just by updating the physical structure, but also by changing the service attitude. What Marcus wanted was to create a hotel where anyone could feel welcome and respected, regardless of who they were or where they came from. In this way, Marcus not only financially owns the hotel, but also completely changes the way people see and treat each other. He hopes that when the employees here wake up from their mistakes, they will carry that lesson not only in their work, but also in their lives. Marcus has returned not to take revenge, but to truly bring humanity and justice to all. A few weeks later, with the transfer formalities completed, Marcus returned to the hotel. This time, he appeared with a completely different confidence and power. He walked into the grand lobby, no longer a stranger, but the new owner of this very place. Although he was still wearing the elegant suit as before, Marcus's eyes now had a different shade, a calm, authoritative look. None of the staff recognized this man. They continued with their daily work, completely unaware that everything would change the moment he entered. Marcus stopped in front of the reception desk, where the blonde manager from before was still standing. He glanced at Marcus, not realizing that the man he had despised was his new boss. The manager still had a cold expression, his eyes still full of complacency and distance. Marcus decided to keep his identity a secret, continuing to observe his every move and attitude. This way, Marcus would have a clearer view of the people working at his hotel to better understand the culture and attitudes they had maintained up to now. At the end of the day, Marcus called an emergency meeting with all his employees. He sat in the conference room, waiting for everyone to gather, silently observing each face. Some looked nervous, others looked confident and arrogant. The manager from the day before, in particular, still didn't recognize him, continuing to look smug. When everyone was there, Marcus stood up and walked to the center of the conference room. He smiled, his gaze calm but powerful, silencing the room. Marcus began with a simple sentence. "Hello, everyone. I am Marcus, the new owner of this hotel." In that moment, all eyes turned to him. The air in the room suddenly froze. Those who had looked down on him, especially the blonde manager, were stunned, their faces showing shock and confusion. The whole room fell silent. No one spoke, and Marcus took advantage of that silence to emphasize every word he said next. He shared his goal, to create a hotel environment that is not only luxurious, but also fair and respectful. Marcus emphasized that in this hotel, there will be no room for prejudice or arrogance towards anyone, whether guests or colleagues. He looked directly at the blonde manager, as if to remind him of his past actions without having to say anything. Marcus let everyone think for themselves, without having to explain further about the meaning of respect or proper behavior. At the end of the meeting, Marcus left everyone with a message. "I am not here to seek revenge, but to create a place where everyone is welcome and respected. Whoever is willing to change, I will support. Whoever is not, the door is still open." After that surprise meeting, Marcus began implementing subtle but meaningful changes to the way the hotel operated. He didn't fire anyone, directly confront them, or make ostentatious displays of power. Instead, Marcus introduced new rules that forced everyone, even the most senior employees, to perform tasks they had previously despised. The front desk staff, including the once arrogant blonde manager, now had to perform tasks that had been reserved for lower-level employees. This was not only to ensure that work ran smoothly, but also to test their pride, to force them to confront what they had once considered trivial. Gradually, the atmosphere in the hotel became tense. People who had once taken pride in their positions and power were confronted with the fact that they no longer had any privileges. A senior manager had to help guests with their luggage, while a receptionist who had previously worked behind the counter now had to help serve breakfast. One by one, they began to feel uncomfortable, even ashamed, doing the jobs they had previously despised. The arrogant looks gradually turned to tiredness and confusion as they realized that all work had value, and that no one deserved to be undervalued just because their work was different. Marcus did not directly supervise each person, but he always silently observed from a distance, recording each employee's reaction. He saw people who were previously arrogant now have to humble themselves and be patient to complete the task. For Marcus, this was not only a way of management, but also a way for him to help them change their perception and experience the lesson of humility. The complacent faces were no longer there, replaced by timid eyes, gradually accepting the reality that they could not be complacent with invisible privileges forever. One morning, Marcus stopped by the front desk and saw the blonde manager who had turned him down help a family. His face was full of embarrassment at having to serve directly, no pride left. Marcus stood at a distance, watching his every move, seeing the awkwardness, the helplessness, and the discomfort in his every gesture. This was exactly what Marcus wanted to see. A gradual change in the minds of the once complacent people as they realized that their arrogance had no place in this hotel. Without words or harsh retaliation, Marcus knew that the most profound lesson had been and was slowly sinking in. The once arrogant employees now had to face the work themselves, the responsibilities they once despised, to feel for themselves the true meaning of fairness and respect. As time went on, the atmosphere at the hotel became increasingly tense and oppressive. Employees who had once held positions of authority now had to work alongside colleagues they had previously viewed as subordinates. No longer were there distinctions of status. Everyone had to share the work as a true team. Their arrogance was gradually eroded, giving way to fatigue, confusion, and even fear. Marcus watched from a distance, watching the slow but steady change in attitudes. One day, Marcus decided to spend some time working directly with the staff in the departments. He went into the kitchen, donned an apron, and helped the chefs prepare breakfast for the guests. Then he joined the housekeeping staff, learning how to pay attention to every little detail to make the guests feel comfortable. The staff, who had previously looked down on him, were now faced with the reality that their boss was not only in charge, but was willing to do all the work they were doing. During that time, Marcus did not say a word of blame, nor did he bring up the past or express disappointment. He let each person feel and change their own perception through the tasks they were performing. Gradually, Marcus began to see a change in the eyes and attitudes of the staff. Those who had previously looked down on their subordinates now began to realize that every job, no matter how small, contributed to the success of the hotel as a whole. The most obvious change was the blonde manager, who had rejected Marcus the first time he came to the hotel. At first, he still tried to maintain his arrogant confidence, but as the days went by, his complacency gradually disappeared when he was faced with jobs that he once considered unworthy of him. At this time, he no longer dared to act arrogant, no longer looked down on others with contempt. He began to bow when greeting colleagues, learned to listen and work with people more sincerely. For Marcus, this was the biggest change he wanted to see, an awakening in everyone's heart. Without having to be confrontational or hateful, Marcus succeeded in creating an environment where everyone learned to look at themselves and treat others with respect and fairness. He knew that, while there might be many challenges, at least this hotel had become a place where people could learn, grow, and from there, create a new culture, one that no longer had room for prejudice and discrimination. After making profound changes at the hotel, Marcus was pleased to see a marked change in the attitude and behavior of the entire staff. The hotel became not just a place of luxury, but also a harmonious environment where people respected each other, without discrimination or prejudice. Marcus transformed what was once an arrogant and cold place into a symbol of humility and kindness. He knew that true success lies not only in generating profits, but also in the ability to build moral values and solidarity. On a particular morning, Marcus gathered all the staff, standing before them with a gentle smile. He shared sincerely, "I am so proud of everyone for overcoming the challenge and creating an environment of mutual respect together. In the end, we are no longer people divided by prejudice and arrogance, but a family." The staff looked at Marcus, their eyes filled with gratitude and admiration, no longer the fear or inferiority complex like before. At the end of the meeting, Marcus did not forget to say that the lessons of humility and tolerance will be valuable for everyone, wherever they go. He emphasized that success comes not only from ability, but also from a heart that sympathizes and respects others. This is the legacy that Marcus wants to leave behind. A hotel that is not only luxurious in form, but also imbued with human values. If this story has touched your heart, please subscribe to Inspiring Hearts to continue following meaningful stories. Together, we will spread the message of kindness and fairness, helping to build a world where everyone is valued and loved.